Does your mind ever feel like a restless storm, constantly churning with worries about the future and regrets about the past? What if the secret to calming that storm wasn't some new technique or a modern life hack, but ancient wisdom that has been soothing minds for thousands of years? It's a frustrating feeling, isn't it? To be caught in that loop of what-ifs and should-haves, a cycle that just drains your energy and steals your peace. You are definitely not alone in feeling this way, and the solution is closer than you think. In this video, we're going to explore 3 powerful stories from the Buddhist, Greek, and Sufi traditions. I've chosen each one specifically because they have this incredible ability to calm a restless mind and offer some immediate relief from the weight of anxiety. These aren't just stories, they're timeless psychological tools. They've survived for centuries because they get to the heart of how the human mind works, and they offer a clear path toward calm and clarity. It's easy to think our anxieties are unique to our fast-paced, high-pressure world, but these ancient cultures understood our minds with a profound depth. They knew that real peace doesn't come from changing the world around us, but from shifting the world within us. So, let's take a little journey back in time and see how their wisdom can become your best tool for mental well-being. Our first stop is in the world of Buddhist philosophy, where a simple metaphor reveals the secret to ending the suffering we cause ourselves. This story, from a Buddhist text called the Salatha Sutta, starts with the Buddha asking his students a question. He said, "If a person is struck by an arrow, is it painful?" Of course, the students replied, "It is." The Buddha then asked, "If the person is struck by a second arrow, is that even more painful?" "It is," the students agreed again. Then, the Buddha explained the nature of suffering. He said, "In life, we can't always control the first arrow. This first arrow is the actual event, the painful, unpleasant or difficult thing that happens to us. It could be a sudden illness, losing a job, a harsh word from someone you love, or just a simple mistake that ruins your day. These things are, for the most part, out of our control. They're the unavoidable pains of being human. However, the Buddha continued, the second arrow is our reaction to the first, and this second arrow is optional. This second arrow is the suffering we pile on top of the initial pain. It's the story we tell ourselves about what happened. It's that inner voice of judgment, blame, and catastrophizing. It's the constant replay, the self-criticism, the endless loop of why me or I'm such a failure. When we get hit by the first arrow of a tough situation, we often reach back into our own quiver and shoot ourselves with a second one, the arrow of our own judgment. This parable is a game changer for understanding anxiety. Anxiety is almost always the second arrow. The wisdom here isn't to pretend the first arrow doesn't hurt. Pain is real, and it's a valid part of life. The lesson is to realize we have a choice about that second arrow. We can learn to see the initial event for what it is, a painful, difficult moment, without adding a whole new layer of self-inflicted misery. This is the heart of mindfulness, to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting tangled up in them. When you feel the sting of that first arrow, you can just pause. You can acknowledge the pain without immediately launching into a story of blame or fear. You can notice the urge to fire that second arrow and simply choose to let it go. By doing this, you're not denying your pain, you're refusing to multiply it. You're taking control of the only thing you truly can, your own reaction. To drop the second arrow is not weakness, it is mastery of the storm inside. All right, our next story comes from a different corner of the ancient world, from the timeless collection of fables credited to Aesop. It's a story many of us heard as kids, but it holds a deep psychological lesson about how we handle disappointment and anxiety. This is the story of the fox and the grapes. A fox, wandering through a forest, stumbled upon a beautiful grapevine. Dangling from its branches were these plump, ripe, purple grapes. They looked amazing, and the fox's mouth started to water. Now, the grapes were hanging pretty high up, but the fox, driven by desire, was determined to get them. He crouched down and leaped as high as he could, his jaws snapping at the air just inches below the lowest bunch. He tried again, this time with a running start, but still fell short. He jumped and leaped again and again, getting more and more frustrated with every single attempt. Finally, completely exhausted, the fox gave up. As he walked away, he stuck his nose in the air and muttered to himself, "I'm sure those grapes were sour anyway. Probably not worth the effort." This simple fable is a perfect picture of a psychological defense mechanism called cognitive dissonance. That's the mental discomfort we feel when we hold two conflicting ideas or when what we do contradicts what we believe. The fox felt this clash. His belief that he wanted the grapes crashed into the reality that he couldn't get them. To fix that uncomfortable feeling, he didn't change his abilities. He changed his belief. He rationalized his failure by telling himself the grapes were bad to begin with. We live in a world that is full of high-hanging grapes. We see them every day on social media, in our careers, in our personal lives. We see the seemingly perfect lives of others, the promotions we didn't get, the relationships that feel just out of reach. When we don't get these things, we face the same choice as the fox. We can either accept our failure and the disappointment that comes with it, or we can go into sour grapes mode. That mentality is a breeding ground for anxiety. When we tell ourselves, "I didn't really want that job, it would have been too stressful," or "that person wasn't right for me anyway," we're creating a fake story to protect our ego. It might feel better for a minute, but it stops us from actually dealing with our real feelings of disappointment or envy. So instead of processing those emotions, we bury them under a pile of excuses. That unresolved feeling just sits there, creating a quiet ache that never quite goes away. We start to feel anxious about not being true to ourselves, and we begin to distrust our own desires. The lesson from this fable is a call to be radically honest with yourself. Mindfulness teaches us to sit with that discomfort, to acknowledge our feelings without judging them. It lets us say, "I'm really disappointed I didn't get that promotion. It hurts." By facing our feelings head-on, we can actually process them and move forward. We avoid the trap of creating a sour grapes reality that keeps us stuck. True peace of mind doesn't come from pretending we don't want what we can't have. It comes from having the courage to accept our limitations and our failures, learn from them, and point our energy toward the grapes that are within our reach. Our final story takes us into the mystical tradition of Sufism and introduces its beloved wise fool, Mullah Nasruddin. His stories have been shared for over 700 years, using humor and absurdity to point to deeper spiritual truths. This is the parable of the lost key. One night, a neighbor saw Mullah Nasruddin on his hands and knees, desperately searching for something on the ground right under a street lamp. "Mullah, what have you lost?" the neighbor asked. "I've lost my key," Nasruddin said, not looking up from the dusty ground. Wanting to be helpful, the neighbor got down on his own hands and knees and joined the search. For a long time, they both crawled around in that little circle of light, but the key was nowhere to be found. Finally, the frustrated neighbor asked, "Mullah, are you absolutely sure you lost the key right here?" Nasruddin calmly pointed back toward his own dark house. "No," he said, "I lost it inside my house." The neighbor, stunned, jumped up and yelled, "Then why in the world are we looking for it out here?" "Because," Nasruddin replied, still searching, "there is more light here." This hilarious story holds up a profound mirror to our own modern search for happiness and relief from anxiety. We have all lost the key to our inner peace inside our own house, within ourselves, and yet where do we look for the solution? We search for it outside under the street lamp where it's easier to look. We look for the key in external things, a new relationship, a better job, more money, a new gadget. Or endless distractions like social media and binge watching. We convince ourselves that if we can just find the right thing out there, it will unlock the door to happiness and fix the anxiety in here. The wisdom in Nasruddin's foolishness is a powerful reminder. Stop searching in the wrong place. The key to your peace of mind isn't under the street lamp of external approval or material things. It is, and always has been, inside you. So these three stories, from completely different cultures and times, all point to a single powerful truth. The source of our anxiety and the solution to it are both found within our own minds. From the Buddhist Parable, we learn that while pain is a part of life, suffering is a choice. From the Greek Fable, we learn the power of being honest with ourselves. And from the Sufi Tale, we're reminded to stop looking for outside solutions to inside problems. These aren't just quaint tales, they're a roadmap. They show us how to shift our perspective, take control of our inner story, and find the calm in the middle of the storm. The anxiety you feel is not an unbreakable chain. It's a pattern of thought, and like any pattern, it can be changed. By embracing this ancient wisdom, you can start to loosen its grip, one story, one breath, one moment at a time. The path to a calmer mind has been laid out for centuries. All you have to do is walk it. If these stories resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more timeless wisdom for modern life. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Which of these 3 stories did you find most helpful and why? Sharing your experience might just be the light someone else needs to see today. Thanks for watching.